back to do what we do. We're on Bleecker Street just off the Bowery. We're gonna pop in here to Zürcher Studios and we're gonna look at a show for anybody who is interested in jazz, poetry, or graphic arts. Stay tuned. And we're gonna check out a show by Ted Joans. Jazz is my religion. Okay, well, I came in last week and saw the show and was impressed. Gwendolyn gave me a copy of the catalog and I got a chance to read some of the poetry. So this is what we're calling the Trader Joe's Bag Series. And, well, I guess Ted did some of his work on the bags. These are all from 2002. This is titled number 3. This is number 7. This is 45 by 26 inches. Looks like magic marker. And there's a little pencil work underneath there. Well, Ted was I guess they would consider him what they call an intermedia artist. So he started out as a jazz player. I think he might have been a trumpet player, but and he was deeply involved with that whole scene, so he met the Bird, all those people, and at some point he took off to Paris, I guess when a lot of the local black artists left and went there, were expatriates for 10, 15, 20 years. Some of them stayed there. As a friend with James Baldwin, I got a picture of these guys together in the catalog. Okay, so this one is 2002 Moody, BC, Vancouver. And I think a lot of these reference some of his travels. So we got this upside down. 22 May, BC, Vancouver. Gosh, I didn't know they had Trader Joe's in Vancouver that early. Anyway, Ted was, as I said, traveling around, spent time in Paris. Also was traveling around in Africa and ended up spending some time in, of all places, Timbuktu. But, well, I would like to go there just because it's got such an interesting title. It's also made 2002, Vancouver. And I would just roughly estimate that at 16 by 20 inches, something like that. Actually, these kind of look like someone out on a safari, walking around an open market with, gosh, look at that rhinoceros, different things. Oh, I've got some text in there. It's an interesting little assemblage Bird lives lucratively amongst white shadows. 10th of January, 99, wooden box, plastic staples, push pins, cardboard, styrofoam, wool twig plastic, rhino pencil pen. Bird lives. Okay, a lot of these have kind of poem things written on here, but here we've got bird lives, and then in the little text we got Charlie Parker, Charlie Parker, Charlie Parker, Charlie Parker. October 20th, 1999, so that's 25 years ago. Another bird lives. It's on corrugated cardboard. I would say that that's probably about 8 by 4 inches. Got a whole poem. I guess bird was a major influence on him. I'm at the airport, not the hair part of this, our Mother Earth. We were on the mother continent just a few months ago. Okay. This is a substantial piece. This is untitled, 1998. Collaging in pencil on paper, 32 by 24 inches. Actually, I was looking at this when I first came in to see the show last week, and I thought this might be a silk screen, but it's nice. It's kind of rugged raw. Actually, I was in Washington, D.C. last weekend, and I try to get by the Phillips to see the collection regularly. A lot of those pieces are like my old friends, and they've got, I don't know what, maybe 40 of the panels from Jacob Lawrence's Migration series, and this kind of makes me think of that with this geometric abstract blocks of color and a little figurative things floated in there. Oh gosh, there's the trumpet. And here's the cutting board. And I think that Gwendolyn was telling me that they've actually included some of Ted's works in shows at the Pompidou Center in Paris. Famous feathered bird, August 29th, 1920, Charlie Parker, 1953, photographed by William Claxton, postcard and feather. Bird lives. Plastic saxophone and sticky letters. I'll read a little poem that goes along with this. Jazz anatomy. My head is a trumpet, my heart is a drum, both arms are pianos, both legs was bass violas, my stomach the trombone, my nose the saxophone, both lungs are flutes, both ears are clarinets. My penis is a violin, my chest is a guitar, vibes are my ribs, cymbals are my eyes, my mouth is the score, and my soul is where the music lies. This is titled Bird Lives, triptych, 1995, Connie Cran and newspaper cutouts on black paper. 24 by 18. And again, we got very kind of simple drawing on there, and color Conti crayons. And I guess we all know the legend of Charlie Parker, brilliant genius, and a career that was taking off like crazy. And of course, he unfortunately passed away young, but influenced generations of musicians and artists. Well, we snagged Gwendoline Zürcher here, and we're going to talk a little bit about, now, what do you call this part of the show? These are kind of like from a diary or something?
This is a series called Remembrances, which was made in between October 15 and October 29, 2000. So this is actually a sketchbook. And we tore all the pages, the 38 pages, and we are showing them by the order how they appear in the sketch.
And so this was all done during about a 2-week period.
Exactly.
In his notebook, and these are kind of the people that he wanted to memorialize.
He knew, he befriended.
Okay, this is Charlie Parker.
Here we have a
Ouija, the famous photographer, the New York photographer.
Did actually this photograph of
Charlie Parker,
of a party.
Ted Joans is in the photo.
Charlie Parker here and Ted Joans standing. And then we have
Bill Thompson.
Bob Thompson, the painter.
Bob Thompson, that's right. Famous local painter that didn't live not so far away from here.
Right, exactly. And here the Japanese poet.
Kazuko Shirashi.
Yes. Maybe less known, but and here we have
Andre Breton.
Yes.
I know as I was reading the catalog that he was really influenced by Andre Breton and considered himself a surrealist even before he knew what surrealism was.
And Ted met Andre Breton in Paris in 1960. So and then he went to his studio on Rue 42 Rue Fontaine in Paris. Here we have Jane Cortez, poet, African-American poet. He considers one of his sisters. I mean, Ted Joans had two, supposedly sisters who were Jane Cortez and Joyce Mansour. And you'll see her a little further. Louise Lehmann, who was also shown in the Met in the Surrealism Beyond Borders show. Here we have the saxophonist Albert Eiler.
And this is just graphite and crayon on paper.
And pencil.
Pencil.
And see how he draws the hands. I mean, you see.
Yeah, they always have the head, the kind of the silhouette of the heads, and then the hands.
And then the hands. This is
Allen Ginsberg.
Right, and then the intensity, the energy, in the he draws with.
And you said there were how many pieces in this particular?
38 drawings. Yes.
In a 2-week period.
Here we have the French, historian and writer Michel Leiris, who is a very important writer about Africa. Here Ted Bird.
The Bird. Well, tell us a little bit about Bird. You said that Ted knew him pretty well, and
yes, and Charlie Parker even stayed in his little bedroom on Barrow Street in the West Village towards the end of his life when he was not well. So and he was the one who drew. Bird lives. He ran over the city, and just when he passed, he just drew.
That became a very big kind of a local logo, kind of almost like a graffiti thing.
Yes, exactly.
Steve Cannon, I visited him myself. He had a little art project down on the Lower East Side.
Yes.
And just passed away recently.
Yes. Mary Wilson was a painter, a surrealist painter. Probably a little less known, but she was also, I think, in the Surrealism Beyond Borders show at the Met.
Langston Hughes, we know who he is.
Yes.
Famous writer.
He really encouraged Ted reading his own poetry. So it's a very important encounter in Harlem.
Was Ted basically, was he a local New Yorker, or he came to New York, but he lived here for a long time?
He was born in 1928 in Cairo.
Cairo,
Illinois. And
then,
Right, and then he came to New York in 1950, and he became a Beat. So he was
with all the Beats, Ginsberg and Kerouac and Burroughs and all those people.
And then he left New York for Paris in 1960, and this is where he met Andre Breton. So this was, a big move and a big shift.
Yeah. Okay, and we got one with Ed Clark, who was a very well-known painter here in New York.
That's also African-American. Ishmael Reed,
also another famous writer.
Well, we're all dealing with celebrities, you know, I mean, in a way, you know, Mata, famous
Yes.
painter.
The second generation surrealists and
yes, exactly. Konrad
Klapchek, yes, I was familiar with him. He was a very well-known German painter when I was living in Germany.
Yes, he was.
In the 70s.
Yes, Heriberto Cogoglio, Colombian, from Colombia, I think, who was also a surrealist. And Wilfredo Lam, Cuban.
Wilfredo Lam, yes, one of the big,
big
surrealists, and he's very well represented here in New York. You always go to the Museum of Modern Art and see a couple of his major pieces
there. And
there.
retrospective at the moment in next year, in the fall, yes.
So in a certain way, you could say that everybody's kind of reevaluating a lot of the people that were contemporaries with Ted.
Exactly.
Dizzy Gillespie, we all love Dizzy. Oh, these are all major jazz people. Archie Shepp.
Yes. Who is also represented in the photo. We'll get there later. Cecil Taylor. Fantastic, yes. Improviser, pianist. Malcolm X. Come on, yeah.
And Ted was actually familiar with him and friends with him, or visited him in Harlem?
Having met him, I think. Even probably even in Paris. Aimé Césaire also.
You know, it's also interesting that although this is kind of a limited format, he's got a lot of variations in here. The way he puts in the lines. This one is kind of like little sigils in there, and the characters. And
yes, the Tamashek characters. I mean, this is the Mali, the Timbuktu language. And here we have, Amir Baraka. I mean,
yes, he also lived not that far away from here.
And
Jack Kerouac.
Of course.
Yeah, he's got his little pompadour on there. Paul Bowles.
Yes.
Very famous writer.
Ted met in Morocco.
Oh, okay. Max Roach, another famous
drummer,
musician.
Robin Cayley, who is from San Francisco, who actually lent the trumpet you see in the show to the show, and who wrote also in this realism book for the Pompidou show, big show, which is the current show. Bob Weisner, Bob
Gonzalez. I read the little piece that he wrote about him, that he had his own language of jazz and was very influential, but very few people know of him.
Yes, that's true.
And you were saying that you actually came in contact with him through your jazz connections.
Exactly.
You've had a lot of concerts here, and you love jazz. And
around 200 concerts.
You're a jazz head? Yes. 200 concerts? Really?
200 concerts.
I've come to a couple of them,
13 years.
Wow. Okay. And so now we've got Wool Sinaka.
Right. And then we have the famous hipster, Nikolai Welch. This is actually a drawing after the cover of the book, of Ted Joans' book, The Hipsters. Yes. Quite an important, one of his important books. And then we have Joyce Mansour, the other sister, Jane Cortez and Joyce Mansour. Fantastic.
She's
Egyptian
also a poet.
Amazing poet. I mean, Egyptian living in Paris most of her life, who passed also. Robert Benayoun, yes, and we end with the from Guyanese, from Guyane, the poet Léon G. Damas. And I think it would be
this is the photo.
There's a photo of, here you have
James
Ted Joans
Baldwin,
and James Baldwin and Archie Shepp in Paris, 1974.
Looks like they're having a good time there.
Yes, and I really love the way they talk and they move their hands.
Yes, and I think James Baldwin is also another person that suddenly people are spending a lot more time looking at and going, this guy was extraordinarily influential, incredibly intellectual, and such a fantastic guy. And he faced a lot of challenges, and he kept going. And I was wondering about the pronunciation. So it's titled Ndige Lives.
Which means bird in Swahili.
In Swahili.
Bird Ndige lives. And then we have actually, a musician on his motorbike and just... and all the little, very important little...
Saxophone.
Yes.
That's one of the things I appreciate about this work, is a lot of this has got text and almost like lines of poetry in there.
Right. On distingue plusieurs sortes de plumes. In French, we distinguish some sorts of feathers. And here, yes, so Charlie Parker, 29th August 1920, Kansas City.
And he passed away in New York in 1955.
Yes, 12th March 1955.
I know this Clint Eastwood did a movie about him. It's very good.
And then you have all these words in German and in French. Yes, which is quite incredible. And here, Elle, self, vol, love, evolution, Vogel. So, lots of...
Also, you have shown at the Outsider Art Fair, and didn't you have some of Ted's work at the Outsider Art Fair as well?
Yes, I did, yes.
Now, how do you think that he sort of fits in with the Outsiders?
He's an insider and now
an insider.
An outsider. He said one time, I want to remain an outsider to the outsiders. And I think this is
that's a good line. I'll remember that one.
That's very interesting. And I'm actually hoping to show Ted again at the Outsider next year. I would like to show his a series he made about New York, about the Statue of Liberty, which is quite fantastic.
Sounds good. Okay.
In the 60s. Right.
Thanks, Gwendolyn.
No, thank you. Hi.
Okay, viewers, we're going to run in here to 526, one of the huge gallery buildings here in Chelsea. And I'm going to take a look at a Mike Cloud show. Stay tuned. Oh, good. So we made it to the Thomas Erben Gallery. And we'll make a little stroll around a Mike Cloud exhibition. Well, the title of the show is Holistic Abstractions. And this is titled Goldfish Sidewalk Pond 2024. Oil on canvas. This is 100 by 48 inches. Well, I saw that Mike was having the show here about 3 weeks ago, and I've been trying to get over to see the show. And, well, I've been a fan of Mike's work for a while, and he's actually appeared in a couple of local shows recently that were very interesting. One of them was last summer's, that's the summer of 2023's, I think it was Diagramming the World, that was curated by Raphael and Heather Rubenstein at Marlborough Gallery. Mike had a beautiful piece in that show. And then there was another show that he was in, I think it was The Apex is Nothing, which was kind of based on a Alfred Jensen painting. That was curated by John G. O'Connor and Ken Weathersby at the SBA Gallery. Okay, so this is Diamond Mining Exploitation 2024 on canvas. Well, I like Mike's work because he's a very intense painter. And he also likes to play with the whole idea of what a painting is, what a stretched canvas is. And he kind of does some kind of subversive approaches to stretched canvases. Also, in a lot of these pieces, he's made these handmade mops with broom handles and strips of canvas. And also we've got some text in there. Victim with minor guilt, child labor. Ted Joans, Phoenix Suns. Okay, well, I'm looking at the first couple of pieces and realizing that what we've got here are some stretcher bars that are mounted on the wall, and then these other structures using the mops as the stretcher foundations are kind of hanging on tethers. And then he's got wooden spoons that he's joining the stretchers on. And there's kind of a sense of a frontier, rugged found geometry. This is not the Pythagorean geometry, something more fundamental. I was looking at this and also noticing this has got kind of an odd star. This is a kind of a warped 7-point star. I think the other ones are 4, 5, and 6. And these handprints remind me of the little ceramic plates that you would make when you were in kindergarten, and you would smash your hand in there, and then you would come back 30 years later and wonder if your hand was ever really that small. Okay, this is a nice one. This is titled American Star 2022. Oil on canvas, 100 by 63 inches. Well, I was talking about the kind of subversive approach to the stretcher bars. So if you look closely, we've got stretcher bars, but Mike doesn't bring the linen all the way around the edge. It kind of leaves the bevel exposed and then kind of glues or staples on the linen within that, so it gives it kind of a natural frame. And then we've got the more angular parts of this, which is made with the broomsticks. Okay, https NewYorkTimes.com. Completely guilty victim Ian McShane. Well, I like the real quotidian nature of a lot of Mike's elements. So that looks like a dog leash. Okay, this is interesting, a little more modest piece. How to clean a tent. Gosh, we should sit down and Google some of these HTTP codes, addresses, and see if we can actually come up with stuff that's relevant to the paintings. Okay, this is one of the few pieces where there's actually looks like these mops got a little action here. We've got some red, yellow, and blue there. Erden Yellow Star of David, 2024. Oil on canvas. Okay, this one's got a red dot. I'll read a bit from the press release. In these new paintings, Cloud replaces traditional wooden stretcher bars with handmade mops, which he's fashioned from broomsticks and tattered canvas strips. These mops are structural elements taking on the shapes of stars, arrows, fish, and others. Cloud continues his practice of roughly stapling his canvas surfaces onto their wooden supports in a way that leaves the structure slightly visible, undermining painting's authoritative status in its inviting DIY ethos and turning it into an object instead of a pristine, level surface. The way that is angled there, it's kind of like the angle of a guillotine. James Kalm reporting on my cloud. Holistic Abstractions here at Thomas Erben Gallery. You can like this, share, link it up to all your social media sites. You can talk about it. You can subscribe. And you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, reviews, and suggestions below, as long as you say, thank you, Kate. Whoa! Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you.
We're done. Yeah.
Yay.